What's up, y'all? I'm back out here on the range on another fantastic morning. Temps are just right around 55 or so, mid 50s right now. We're supposed to just barely hit over 70, so it's going to be an absolutely perfect day to get some testing done out here. And since it is going to be such a nice day, I didn't want to ruin the mood out here with testing some old janky stuff, so I've got us lined up 3 of what I'm pretty positive are going to be some good ones out here. We're going to start it out with some more very interesting 38 special. So the jelly contraption set up ready to roll with a couple of chronos and 2 fresh blocks of gel. First test of the day on this one, so you get a very nice clear picture of what happens. Running with the heavy clothing barrier, of course. It's got the layer of denim, fleece, and 2 layers of cotton t-shirt. And what we got here is kind of a follow-up to the Super Veil that I tested just a week or so ago that was sent to me by Charles. This stuff was as well, so again, a huge thanks to him for that. You're looking at the original Treasury Load. This is the original Treasury Load. I know a lot of people call stuff Treasury Loads, even modern day loads. They may be loaded with even the exact same projectile, same load and everything, but this right here is sure enough the original Winchester contract Treasury Load. So you've got a 110 grain projectile here. You can see nice nickel plated case with that projectile, really similar to the Super Veil, just a little less jacket actually. So there's really no doubt in my mind we're going to see some good performance out of this stuff just based on what the Super Veil did. Again, this is the OG stuff and it's in incredible condition, absolutely fantastic condition. Somebody mentioned how nice a condition those Super Veils were in. No corrosion on the lead, no nothing on these, so he really took good care of this stuff. So 110 grain, 1155 feet per second from a 4-inch revolver is what they were targeting here with this stuff. That's what they were looking for, 1155 from a 4-inch. Now I've done a little bit of research here and it looks like they were trying to get around 990 from a 2-inch. So I'm gonna tell you right now, the Super Veil that we saw a week or so ago was basically what would have been the Treasury Load were it not for corporate and supply chain shenanigans. And I'll explain what I mean by that with just a little touch of history for those who are interested. But now if y'all remember last week or so, that Super Veil out of the 4-inch, we had an average of 1125 and a high of 1158. So we saw that 1155 that they were looking for. Well, that was a 3-inch, excuse me. So we would have been over that with a 4-inch. Out of the 2-inch, we had a high of 1025 with a 986 average. So all over that 990 from a 2-inch. Now, the reason I say that would have more than likely been your Treasury Load, the Super Veil, instead of the Winchester, is just because, you know, if y'all know any about the history of that, Lee Juras, Juris, I should say, I'm pretty sure that's how you pronounce it, with Super Veil, come up with that projectile, the very nice expanding projectile at those kind of speeds. But unfortunately, what happened is he could not meet the demand that they were needing for that contract because of what I read were some supply chain shenanigans going on where components were being supposedly intentionally held back due to corporate interference there by Winchester or whoever. Now, I'm not saying this is fact, but this is just some of the stuff I've read in several different articles. So long story short there, because I know all y'all ain't here for a history lesson, as you can see, Winchester swooped on in and got that original contract with the Secret Service for this so-called Treasury Load. Now, as far as this being plus P plus, I'm sure you're saying, well, we've seen stuff that called itself just plus P or maybe even kind of claimed to be standard pressure with this kind of velocity. And that's just because, you know, changes in powder, different powder is the biggest difference in pressure. Pressure, as we've seen in the past, does not always directly equal more velocity. It just really depends on a lot of other factors because you can get today's loadings much lower pressure than this and still get the same velocity. But anyway, let's get it moving along here. I've got a couple of different barrel lengths, basically the 2 main ones they were kind of looking at. We've got a 2-inch here again with the Taurus 856, and then this time instead of a 3-inch, I'm using the full 4-inch here. We've got a 4-inch Ruger GP100 357 mag. But that's enough of the weather report and history lesson out here. Let's get this stuff set up and see what they can actually do. All right, let's see what we get from these famous Treasury Loads. I'm gonna do a 5-round average from each barrel length, starting with this 2-inch first. Now you'll see multiple velocity readings from this radar, the large numbers right here at the muzzle, and then you've got 5 across the bottom. The first one there is set for 3 yards, which is roughly where the gel is here at 10 feet. And then I've got the other set for 10, 15, 25, and 50 yards. Now 2-inch first, remember, like what I've read is that they were targeting unofficially 990-ish out of a 2-inch. but there's nothing really official that I can find. I'll tell you right now, we've got to at least have 982 or 86 or whatever it was to outdo that Super Veil. So it'll be very interesting here if this stuff ends up being outdone by that Super Veil with the whole history that I talked about earlier. But let's see what happens here. I think this is going to be some spicy stuff. Nah, it don't feel that bad, y'all. 1,033, it runs good though. It don't feel that bad at all. Not at all. 1,073, good Lord. 1,046, this stuff is a hot rod load, buddy. 1,051. And 1,025. Now I want to show y'all, because I know everybody's, you know, always on about the pressure. Look, y'all saw I should have kept it in camera, but they slid right out. I mean, absolutely no effort. All the cases look absolutely perfect. I mean, no splitting, no cracks, no kind of pressure signs, no bulge primers, no nothing. They look absolutely fine. And I'm gonna tell you what, buddy, this performance looks more than fine. We had a 5-round average on this stuff of 1,046 feet per second, a high of 1,073, extreme spread of 48 with an 18.4 standard deviation. This is fantastic performance out of a 2-inch barrel so far, so I have no doubt the 4-inch is going to exceed it. Let's get it reset and see what happens. All right, let's crank them on up with this 4-inch GP100. No doubt in my mind we're gonna see, what was it, 1155 they were looking for? There's no doubt in my mind. 1214, 1151. Had to drop on us there. 1139, we had a strong start, now they're dropping on us. 1143. And another 1143, I'm pretty sure I saw the change there. Once again, I mean, absolutely no pressure signs. I'll tell you right now, this stuff is not hard recoiling at all. Surprisingly, I know that's probably hard to believe, but even out of that 2-inch, that was a very, very mild handling load. Let's check out this average. All right, we definitely kicked it up a notch here. We had a 5-round average of 1158. Oddly enough, that was the high from the 3-inch Super Veil stuff. So that Super Veil, some hot stuff. It's right here with this stuff. I might give this stuff a tiny edge, but barely any, if at all. Extreme spread on this was 76 with a 31.8 standard deviation. Now we had that high all the way up to 1214, and then all the rest of them kind of settled back down. But anyway, 1158 right here, and if you remember, I had the 2-inch. It was 1,046, so you talking about 112 feet per second difference. Pretty big difference, just like we saw in the Super Veil, just because of the barrel length difference. All that being said, if history repeats itself, just like that Super Veil, this stuff's gonna do a fantastic job in the gel. But let's get it all reset. Y'all know what time it is. All right, y'all, it's Defend the Treasure jelly time. I'm gonna put one from each barrel length into the gel, starting with this 2-inch first. Pretty much guaranteed good results right here. As long as I don't miss my mark, we should be good to go. All right, that was absolutely perfect. Let's go check it out. All right, y'all, that's a great way to start the day right there. I'm expecting more good stuff right here. Absolutely no doubt in my mind. All right, another beautiful placement. Let's go check these out. All right, let's take a look at this stuff down here. Very, very nice performance. This stuff did exactly what they wanted it to do, exactly what it's designed to do, every single bit of it. Unfortunately, the one time I didn't want this chrono down here to act up, it did, so we didn't get a reading right here. I'll put the average from the radar. If I was guessing, just looking at this right here, this was definitely on the upper end of the average. It was at least 1150, probably closer to that 1200 that we saw. But we'll start here on the top. This is the one from the 2-inch. Very, very nice energy transfer, disruption here, immediate expansion starting right here, travels on through the block here. Now, neither one of these went as far as the Super Veil, but it looks like they both got more expansion, and that's why. This one down here, I would say that's probably about 4 or 5 inches from the end of this first block, but you do have some really nice looking expansion. And then down below that, of course, that's the 4-inch. This is what these rounds were designed for, full size 4-inch. You can tell feel a big difference right here. Comes in here again, immediate energy transfer, lots more disruption right there. Keeps on trucking through here. Disruption really is more all the way through its travel than the 2-inch, obviously. Now this one goes a lot shorter than the 2-inch and a lot shorter than the Super Veil. You're probably just over halfway of this 16-inch block, but you do have some very nice expansion. Now, as far as the penetration on them, the one here on the top from the 2-inch, you're actually at 12.5 inches, so right there within the numbers that they're looking for on that one. And then the 4-inch down at the bottom, this one's actually at 10.25, so for my taste, that's a little short on penetration, but again, I'm sure that's exactly what they were looking for with this round. And here's your close look. Again, 2-inch on the top, 4-inch on the bottom. Obviously, you can tell the difference there. More disruption, bigger disruption out of that 4-inch, and much more expansion, but you paid for it in the penetration because you can see the difference in penetration, but you can also see the difference in expansion. Pretty tricky from the top because I lined them up pretty good, but I think you can see basically looks the same, just pretty much uniform from all different directions. All right, let's check out these projectiles, y'all. Very nice stuff here. Once again, this one is the 2-inch, this one's the 4-inch. You can definitely tell the difference right here, and from the side profile, check that out. This 2-inch pretty much expanded all the way down to where the jacket started. This 4-inch went down to the jacket and then started to peel it back a little. So very nice stuff right here. These older rounds are just really nice as far as when they do perform. They're very consistent. So let's get our measurements on them. They both started at 110. I don't see anything in the gel there. This one from the 2-inch is at 110.2, so nothing lost there. Probably the same with this 4-inch. The 4-inch is actually at 110.4, so absolutely no loss on either one. And then as far as our sizes on them, we'll start with the 2-inch. You got 483 and 508, so nice even expansion right there. And then from this 4-inch, you got 603 and 612, so fantastic expansion right there. Now, me personally, I would have been willing to give up a little bit of that expansion to get some more penetration, but you know, they're just limited on what they could load, what powders and what the loading could be, so this is probably just what you got back then. So there you go, y'all, the Winchester 38 Special Plus P Plus original Treasury Load. Very cool stuff right here. Nice performance from both of them, although this right here, I suppose they would probably want more penetration and a little less expansion. They even say on the front of the box, y'all probably noticed, jacketed controlled expansion, so little less expansion right there would have gave us more penetration, but at those velocities, again, there's probably not a whole lot you can do besides what they did here. Now, if anybody's interested in trying to find some of this stuff, they actually did continue this in the Winchester Ranger line. I don't know if today it still is, but you could probably still find it in the Ranger line. It's the same exact part number, so basically if you get this part number, you've got this same load. All right, y'all, I'm gonna call it right there for a great way to start the day of testing. I personally think this older production ammo is some of the most interesting testing to be done out here. It may not be the most useful all the time because some of it you just can't get anymore, but it's very interesting to me, the history of some of this stuff, especially this right here. Since we tested the Super Veil, you know, from there to here, it's kind of like a little mini series once you know the history and, you know, kind of how the whole contract for this Treasury Load went. I just think it's really interesting. But as far as the performance here, again, I think they pretty much got exactly what they were expecting to get from this stuff, maybe other than that lack of penetration and the over expansion on the 4-inch. Now, as far as which one is better, which one would have been a better if Super Veil would have gotten this Treasury Load contract, I would have to say this right here edges out the Super Veil just a little bit. Now, I would say that Super Veil didn't really get the opportunity to perfect the Treasury Load because, you know, they never got the contract, so who knows what would have happened, but either way, this is definitely a good performer. But let me know what y'all think down in the comments. Those of y'all who carry 38 Special, what do you carry in it? What do you think about the performance right here from this stuff? Let me know in the comments what your thoughts are. If you're doing any shopping, check out those affiliate links in the video description. I've got pretty much all the major places that you might go to down there, and anything you pick up helps out the channel, so I really do appreciate that. Big thanks again to all my Range Gang members and every single one of y'all for supporting the channel. I've got a couple more really good ones planned for out here today, so stay on the lookout for those. And in the meantime, stay safe, stay prepared, and I'll see you soon.